I'm John Montegriffo. I'm 56 years old. I have recently retired from a long career in social work after having been Gibraltar's first qualified social worker to practice in the field. I'm the proud father of 4 daughters, and my wife is a teacher by profession. At home, I grew in a very normal, typical Gibraltarian family in a typical patio Janito. Although part of my upbringing wasn't that normal, in that my father was heavily involved in politics, and he was one of the founder members of the AACR in the early 1940s, at the time of the evacuation. And that really sort of marked my life. It really was probably the biggest influence I had, and formed much of my own views on how society works, how society functions, about injustices, about inequalities, and about the dynamics that shape our society. The main thing that for me resonates with me and immediately attracted me to Together Gibraltar was the diversity and the different mix of people that there were within this at the time it was a movement before it became a political party. And it reminded me very much of the Gibraltar that I grew up in, where it was a very classless society, in that there was all sorts of people living. I remember my father was involved in politics. Our next door neighbour was a dustman. The one next door was a policeman, and we all just grew up together, and there was no class distinction. And there was a very much a sense of community that I fear it's slowly being degraded, and it's something that I think that for me, Together Gibraltar evokes, without it being something that going back to another time, something that's old-fashioned, but rather what for me has been the strength of our community has been how we've always been able to pull together as one in times of adversity, and God knows that we've been through a lot over the last 300 years. I have made a career out of working with people who were less fortunate and tried to get a better deal for them. And it's always been a very political place to inhabit. I've always worked very closely with government ministers from when I first started my career. So the political arena is something I'm very, very comfortable with, very conversant with. I've advised ministers, I've helped to develop policies, not only recently but throughout my whole career. I'm very proud of I've worked with some incredible people. People like Hubert Corby and Gladys Perez in setting up the first drug rehab we had in Gibraltar. I'm very proud of that track record and the great success that we've had over the years, and how we've changed so many lives around. I envision a Gibraltar where people feel that they can make a difference, where people are not apathetic, where they just leave it to politicians because they feel that they are disempowered, and that politicians are going to get away with all sorts of things. And what I would like to see is people actively participating and feeling that their opinions count, and that their opinions actually are part of that change, which is why one of the things that excites me about Together Gibraltar. I envision a Gibraltar where we can diversify our economy much more than what we have now. I envision a Gibraltar where we develop our tourist potential. I would like to see the small and medium businesses given more help. Gibraltar is a hotbed of creativity and ingenuity. Our whole history of 300 years of our existence has been having to overcome adversity and challenges, and that's built into our DNA. And I think that is something that we need to tap into. I envision a Gibraltar where the public service is able to function in a more independent way. I've worked there. It is absolutely brimming with, the same as in the private sector, with ideas, but I feel that there's too much interference. The political interferes too much with the public sector, and I think that's not good there. It creates a democratic deficit. The public sector needs to be truly independent, where people have proper career progressions, where there's proper succession planning, and where people can make a real career out of it and not feel that they're being overridden or overlooked. or not given the break that they need to develop a public service career as a proper career.